General Chang wore an eye patch. Why? Well, he got it slashed out during a fight with another Klingon. That should make a good conversation starter, as long as you're having that conversation with yourself. If you care to know the who, what, when, where, and why of all of this, then stick around. We'll get into all of that, as well as a bunch of other info that will make you regret ever watching this video. Feel free to tap that subscribe button if that's the sort of thing you want to do with your life. This is how General Chang lost his eye. The Klingon bastard who did the deed was a usurper named Kalnor. He was leading a coup to overthrow the Klingon Chancellor.
Kalnor, son of Geoff.
This happened between the events of Star Trek V and VI. This Chancellor isn't Gorkon though, who was the Chancellor in Star Trek VI. We'll get into all of that later. And all of this happened within a video game.
The game's afoot, huh?
Actually, the game was Star Trek Klingon Academy. As to the exact circumstances of Chang's eye slashing, there was a huge starship battle happening. Chang managed to disable Kalnor's ship, then he beamed over so that he could settle things face to face. They tussle and we discover that Chang can do somersaults. The Klingon knives come out and Chang's eye gets slashed. Finally, Chang gives Kalnor a one-way ticket to Sto-vo-kor. Still watching? Well, then we may as well get into the details of the game. It came from Interplay. Remember them? Over the decades, Star Trek video games have been adequate at best. The best run of Star Trek games came in the 1990s when Interplay released some of the original series RPGs and a few starship simulators. My personal favorite of these was Starfleet Academy for the SNES. It used music from the movies and had different bridges for different ships. Yeah, I was a lonely child. Anyway, a few years later, Interplay put out another Starfleet Academy, this time for the PC. And it shocked a lot of people when it came out to surprisingly meh reviews.
No response, Captain. No response, Captain. No response, Captain. No response.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. This brings us to the sequel, Klingon Academy, which was released for the PC in 2000 and came on 6 discs. Jesus. Its graphics are barely adequate for the time, and most of the action plays out in tediously long FMVs. This guy Brian Fargo felt like presenting it to us, so he did. In case you're wondering who Brian Fargo is, he was the founder of Interplay back in 1983. This was their first logo because someone at Interplay had a sense of humor. Reading the credits for this game is like having a stroke. The combination of using the Klingon font and the low resolution just butchers this guy's name. Perry Scalp? Aside from Christopher Plummer, David Warner also shows up. In fact, the entire plot of this game is about Gorkon's rise to being Chancellor. In a nutshell, the previous Chancellor dies. Then there's a civil war. Short story shorter, Gorkon prevails and takes his place as the new Chancellor, which is where we see him in Star Trek VI.
Now that the war has ended, the High Council will reconvene to recognize me as Chancellor.
Michael Dorn's voice also makes an appearance.
I am Instructor Thokmok.
He plays a character named Thokmok because someone at Interplay has a sense of humor.
Thokmok.
Thokmok is the younger brother of Colonel Worf, who Michael Dorn also played in Star Trek VI.
Do not confuse me with my famous brother, Colonel Worf, the Imperial Arbiter for the High Council.
So, within a year of Klingon Academy's release, Interplay met a fate worse than death. It was purchased and absorbed by Titus Interactive. They're the sociopaths who subjected us to Superman 64. Naturally, this game has Klingon ships. We get to see a Klingon space station. This monster is Chang's ship, which he should have been using in Star Trek VI. And of course, we get a bird of prey, which is one of the better models in this game. Overall, the shape and details are fairly accurate to the actual ship, except for this big pimple on its nose.
It is a gorge.
So that's the video. You made it to the end and you have no one to blame but yourself. I'd like to thank these Klingon pimples for helping support the channel. I really appreciate it. And right now I'm going to stall to give these names enough time to scroll on the screen. Alright, that should be enough time. Thanks for swinging by, and I'll catch you in the next video.